Hey, what's happening, guys? I'm Chad.
Ariana.
And we are doing our review now of episode 6 of Star Wars, The Return of the Jedi. That's the one, yeah. Ariana has just gotten to see the movie for the first time, and so we're going to go ahead and get her thoughts. All right, Ariana, what did you think?
Okay, so they had me in the beginning.
Yeah.
It was, I thought, like, the rescue scene from Jabba the Hutt was good.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that. I loved all the, like, little tricks that were instilled in it. I loved, like, Leia being a bounty hunter and her going to get him. And then I love the fact that Lando kind of snuck under the radar, too, and was cool. And then Luke shows up. His force is strong.
Yes.
Space pirates get defeated.
Yep.
And they get back. That was awesome.
Actually, well, pausing there real quick, that feels like a movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's within itself. It feels like...
It even has a big ending of like, the barge exploding.
And everything else, and they take off and they get back.
Yeah. It's over,
Adventure. Cool.
Now we kind of have to, like, start up again.
And then it's like, I've got to go see Yoda. And then he goes to see Yoda, which I did like that scene. But, like, I don't know. I guess my overall takeaway as a whole is there's so much in this movie that I felt like didn't need to be in the movie.
Yeah.
The Yoda scene was super cool, super rad. How they had to do him dirty like that, give him 3 minutes of screen time and just take him out. And like his sister and like everything. There's another one. And then he goes and talks to Obi-Wan and it's like, it's, you know, and it's cool. And then they move on. And then, I don't know, from there, it just gets jumbly.
If I have 2 points about the Yoda scene, one of them is, I think, with Ben.
Yes.
It is cool in episode 5 when he's dying, basically, of like frostbite, and he kind of starts to see a vision, and you feel like there is kind of a thinning of the hedge between life and death, and he can kind of see him.
And like the veil.
Yes, the veil's getting thin. When Homie just kind of shows up as a ghost and sits down and kind of talks for a while, I feel like that's overdoing it.
So they do that in the one before as well, the Empire Strikes Back, but it's done like it's like. You're so deep within your Jedi training that you now are connected to the whole Jedi world, and I respected that.
Which part am I missing? Is that because I know he does it with Yoda, right?
And he's there in that scene too.
He is there in that scene. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So, but like I said though, the difference is though when they're doing that in Empire Strikes, it feels like he's so connected with the Force that
because he's been training that whole time.
Exactly. Right. So then it's like, oh, your powers are getting stronger in there, which would make sense for Obi-Wan to come back and be super present in that moment. But it's like, but where did Yoda just go that he's no longer present, but now you're just openly talking to Obi-Wan? So that's where like it loses the.
Well,
I don't know.
When Yoda dies, he also like fades away.
It fades away up to nowhere, and I was like, "Where did?"
Which Obi-Wan did, but I kind of bought that it was some kind of like written in the stars kismet situation.
Yeah.
And this kind of made it like, do all Jedis just fade? Like
they just fade away. Where do they go?
Yeah. When Luke dies,
they go into the
away?
weird like telepathy world that all the Jedis are connected through the spirits of the soul.
So then my
Still
second
really want to be a Jedi, but then okay, but continue.
So my second issue with the Yoda scene as well, though, is that like they also did this big thing in 5 where it's like you either have to finish your training because you're nowhere near ready, or you have to go and do this thing and you'll fail. He comes back and he's like, "Nah, you're good enough. All right,
you're already done." He's like, "But I'm here to redo my training." I completely forgot about part, but I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. At the end of it, they both talk about how it's like he needs to do more training. He's not ready, and then he comes back for 2 seconds.
Gone.
It's really strange.
So
you swung your lightsaber around a couple times. You're fine. Yeah,
I was like, okay. And then I was like, all right. So then they go back in the plan and they're on the ship. And the plan was detailed in the structure of it. And then everything else was so freaking weird though, too.
Well, but even the plan is kind of like, this movie to me is what I call the beginning of the end. There are a lot of people, and you've probably heard this being my age, lots of people have pretty low opinions of the prequels.
Yeah.
I argue
I know, I've heard that
this is the beginning of that. People think episode 1, being the first prequel movie, is when everything went to hell.
Right.
I think a lot of the issues we see in the prequels start in this movie.
I could see that.
So for instance, like another Death Star. Like, oh, come on.
Like
really,
they're doing it again.
Like,
and it was like, that kind of felt redundant.
We already did that, man.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, instead of straight lines going to the core of the Death Star, now they're kind of curvy.
Yeah,
like, oh, get out of here, man. We're just doing that again.
But then, so that whole thing is what it is. I did like how Luke was like, I shouldn't be on this mission. I'm compromising it. That was cool. That told the story. That got kind of to the roots of it. You know what I mean? The Ewoks. Because that's what we're coming to in a nutshell.
Yes, we are, yeah. I didn't know how you were going to feel about that.
Cute. The Ewoks are cute.
They are objectively cute.
They are. I was here for the Ewoks in the beginning.
Yeah, in like doses.
in doses of Ewoks were good.
Yeah.
The fact that whole fight scene was them just like, we had primitive weapons. I laughed the whole time.
Yes.
I laughed the whole time.
You nailed it. That's one of my biggest issues is that, like, there is a sense of foreboding that the Empire is supposed to represent.
Yeah.
It is this fascist empire that has consolidated power across the entire
galaxy.
And you guys got your asses handed to you by teddy bears.
Yeah.
You know, also doing, like, so many dumb jokes. There's, like, little Three Stooges bits.
Yes.
Remember when they're in the ATST and the guys have, like, the ridiculously large helmet?
Yeah.
And they, like, knock on the top and it goes like, oh, let me go look at that. And, like, woo! He gets pulled out of it's like, that is so goofy. Where did that come from?
My whole thing is like slingshots involved. Like, what the fucking David and Goliath, man? Like, come
also,
on.
like the Home Alone stuff.
The trap, the booby traps and everything. And I was just like, I see what you're trying to do here, but you didn't need to go that direction. It still could have been family friendly, bring the whole family to, because you already had that built with the other two, and you didn't have.
They did. Because I don't think five is too, like, much for the kids.
It's not.
You know? So
and this one was like, let's take it that way. And I just didn't feel like I was watching the same adult movie that I'd watched previously.
I felt like they were trying to sell toys.
It took the tone. 100%. Yeah. It was all about branding. I'm sorry.
That's what it feels like.
That's what it feels like. Yeah. From a marketing perspective, A+ call.
Yeah. For McDonald's toys.
For McDonald's toys, you know, the whole thing.
For
like
plush teddy bears, you know.
To expanding the brand to the way, I mean, I guess there's like, isn't there like Star Wars and Disney now or something? Like a whole park or something?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been.
It's been forever, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's a thing.
Yeah.
And I get it from that point of view. But for someone who just like, I so enjoyed The Empire Strikes Back. And this, by the end of it, I was like, all right.
It kind of sullies the whole...
It does. It sullies the whole... You can, like, just... I don't know. The fight scene at the end was cool. The way Vader dies is cool. I love the respect there. I love all that.
Yeah.
Now, how much of that was added that was not part of the original film that I saw for that ending?
I don't know about, like, scenes or anything, but a big thing that happens with that ending is that in the original version of it, the Emperor is unlimited powering poor Luke, and then it just silently cuts to Vader's mask of him kind of looking at both, and we can feel that he's internally understanding that he's not down with what's going on anymore.
Right.
And then he just grabs the Emperor and throws him off the thing.
That's...
Well, but what Lucas added is him going, no.
Oh, okay, so that's not supposed to be there?
Yeah, because
I
like,
would have loved that so much more.
And that's the issue, is that it's like you go like you guys are so dumb, you can't understand that he's internally struggling.
But I could, and so I felt, so I was like, and that would have made that feel so much even more genuine and regular.
It did back then.
Jeez, oh my God, that's so mad. But then he gets off, and then he gets off the ship, and that's great. I want to know that ending celebration scene. How much was that added, like, recently versus before? Because that all looked way... What was the difference in years? It's probably just
sweetened a lot is the thing.
Okay, what was the difference in years between Empire Strikes Back and... It didn't fit the overall... Yet again, it just wasn't the same aesthetic. It felt added onto. It didn't feel like the blueprint.
Every time a CGI character shows up, it always sticks out because you're just like, nothing else has any CGI.
But that whole end all feels like very CGI. And I like...
Well, all throughout the middle and stuff, like, just there'll be like a scene of like 50 people, and one dude will just be like a CGI thing. Yeah, and it's like it doesn't fit, you know.
Also, and I guess this is another huge thing for me. The tone of this movie was so much more like there's so much more music outside of our trumpets and drums for Vader and our normal soundtrack, and that kind of takes. I was like, this is not the like when they have the whole band group thing and Jabba the Hutt's like. A receiving room or whatever it was. Like that doesn't really fit the rest of it. Like how everything else in it is cool, but that itself didn't feel like it was supposed to be there.
And with its modifications.
That didn't feel like supposed to be there. And then at the end when they're celebrating and they're like doing all this like Jamaican, I'm like, what? Why are they now like?
It wasn't like that before.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't feel.
Everything was very simple, you know.
And I feel like it would have been better just to stick it that way.
It would. And that's what happened with him. Is he could never let it go. And this was. I made a comparison video about Star Wars and Harry Potter and how they both had the same kinds of issues where the first couple movies and books, for George it's the movies and for Roland it's the books, where you notice like the first couple books are quite short and concise. what happened is eventually she became J.K. fucking Rowling, and who's going to tell her how to write a good story? So then her editors couldn't say anything, and her books exploded. Yeah. And I think with Lucas, that's what I think happened in this movie. I think by the time he made this movie, he was already the guy who made A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, or just Star Wars back then. And so it's like, you can't tell me nothing. Like, obviously, I have great ideas. And so then he just got to do whatever he wanted. And I think that the other movies were like a team effort of people coming in and being like, all right, here's all these ideas you have. Let's structure them and let's cut these ones because they don't flow and these don't fit. And let's kind of get a creative vision that is concise. And this team built this really incredible thing. And when you get to this movie, it really has the feelings of like, you know what would be kind of funny? Like, what if we had it where like, an Ewok is riding a speeder and then he's like spinning in circles, and like if that scene happened in 5,
my gosh. And he's like having so much fun. He's like, woo, I'm barrel rolling. And I was like, oh.
It's like, it's like, are we supposed to laugh? And these are the parts where
I'm laughing. And I'm like,
yeah, but you're probably Schadenfreude laughing more than you're like, oh, this is a funny joke.
No.
I think it's very, the thing about family films is that I think, like, Spielberg mastered the family film. Okay. Where you watch a movie like, you've seen E.T., right?
Yeah, I love E.T.
Yeah, so it's like E.T. still feels like everyone, from the kids sitting on the floor to the parents sitting on the couch, that we all can enjoy this movie.
They have something for everyone. It has something for everyone.
This is the movie where it feels like it really was like, we're really pointing down towards the kids. Another big issue I have with this movie is that it had been Harrison Ford and one of the writers really wanted Harrison to die at the end of 5 with the kryptonite situation. Because his character, if you may have noticed, kind of has nothing to do in this movie.
Oh, it's besides shitty, insecure male lines. Oh, you love him, don't you? And like he just gets super sensitive about stuff. He's like, oh, you can't tell me, but you can tell Luke. I'm like, y'all just didn't know what to do with him in the script at all. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. But that makes so much sense. But it wasn't even. They weren't even playing it right though.
No, because he's the only one who doesn't know that they're siblings at that point. So it's just kind of a love triangle in his head,
and it just makes him come across annoying.
It does. Well, and again, he think about what he accomplishes. Right. He ends up going down to Endor and just standing in front of a door for like an hour. Yeah,
that scene in itself is far too fucking long.
It's so long.
And it's keep coming back to it. Like no one cares.
Because
there's too much going on.
He had nothing to do. It's like if he died, he would have gone from this kind of nobody with no future who is selfish, and then he's turned into a hero, and he comes and saves the day, and
he's out gracefully, and it's good, and it's well done,
and there's a sacrifice at the end of the second movie to kickstart the caring of the characters to be like, we are so motivated, we have to make up for, our friend died. He can't have died for nothing.
That would have been cool.
There's so many little things that are just like, you were almost there, man. And this movie, like I said, to me is kind of the beginning of the end, where I'm like, it's fun and it's fine and it's not as bad as stuff in the other movies. But even little decisions like, we're on Endor, which is a forest planet, and it's filled with a bunch of Ewoks, which are teddy bear people. We already have a huge forest planet called Kashyyyk, which is where Wookiees are from. Why wasn't this like a big warrior race of badass Wookiees running around with bows?
That would have been so freaking
then you could,
cool.
You could buy that the Wookiees are fucking up the 501st. Yeah. Not a bunch of, like I said, it's like watching Home Alone. It's like, it's hijinks that they take them out.
I was entertained. I can't say I wasn't entertained through watching it. It held my attention. I enjoyed it. I watched it, but it just didn't give me, I wanted more Jedi vibes. I wanted to be in it with them. I love that storyline. That's what attracted me so much to the second film. And then this just one, it lost me.
Philosophy stuff. And then, now it's kind of, and again, I feel like they try to be like, kind of almost treat Luke like he's a master all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Yeah!
It
just doesn't. It doesn't.
I'm down for Luke to become a master, but oh no, you gotta get that's cool. You can get a cool patch now.
That's literally Yoda patch and my G jacket.
Yeah, to go with your Yoda jacket, you gotta get
my backpack.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into what the community had to say.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so Joseph Roby wants to say the original title of the movie was Revenge of the Jedi, which makes sense after the second movie, right? Some movie posters and merchandise were even made with that title, but George Lucas felt that Jedi don't act out of revenge. And so Revenge, of course, is later used as one of the titles for one of the prequels. I thought that was really fun. They got so far as to print posters and stuff. But he decided, Jedi don't take revenge. I
love that.
That sounds very dark side, So I thought that
does. I love that, actually. So that's super cool.
And then I think Return even works better because the idea is that,
they're almost extinct.
So now they're coming back. It's the Return.
Yep, the Return. Absolutely.
We have one chosen one who can hopefully lead, the Jedi back.
Lead them forward.
So I agree. I think that one's a fun one. So, Evan Moore says that Wicket, the Ewok, with who becomes, Leia's friend, is played by none other than Warwick Davis, who would go on to play several different roles in Harry Potter films, including
that's
Professor
crazy.
Flitwick. Yeah, he's in a bunch of stuff. He was one of like 2 dwarfs that got hired for roles for a long time for things. So you guys would also know him from Willow and stuff like that. So he, it's really cool though because he was like really young because this movie is not,
Right,
it's not a new movie. So if he was only like, I don't know, in his 40s or something by the time he's doing Harry Potter, like he would have been.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. That's wild.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how long back he was getting work like that. But he's been a steady actor and he's great. I love the guy. He's really funny. He does a lot of work with Ricky Gervais. So, all right, here we go. George Lucas wanted only blue and red lightsabers. Basically, bad guys have red, good guys got blue.
Yeah.
But because when Luke fights in the broad daylight during the Jabba scene,
Yeah.
you can't see the bright blue in the broad daylight with the blue background as well. So that's why he decided to give Luke a green lightsaber in the beginning.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's fun, right?
Love
And then for the rest of the movies, they kind of continue the green and blue to become the 2 major Jedi colors, and I think that's a lot of fun. So.
I like that color scheme.
Yeah.
I'm just more of a fan of cool colors, and I do already associate red with like bad.
Yeah, of course, right. So it works. Yeah, you don't really see another color show up until the prequels, and it was on a specific actor's request. And so they really wanted a certain one because they wanted to stick out, and it ended up being kind of funny because there's all this lore now behind like why lightsaber colors are what they are mostly because of that dude. If it wasn't for him, it would have been like, oh, good guys use these ones, bad guys use these ones. But then because he threw in another color, it's like, okay, well, like it depends on like where you're from and what you use and if you got this crystal and then you blah 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 blah. And it became this really complex thing, which is so funny. But they wanted that actor really bad, so yeah.
Well, there it is, I guess.
So that's Star Wars. Again, this sounded kind of negative. It's not.
I enjoyed the movie. Just so we were clear, I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. It just wasn't what I wanted coming off the second one.
Yeah, and seeing them all back to back like that, it really gives you the opportunity, especially for some of the people in our community who are old, but like you guys remember watching them in order and having to wait in between. So by the time this one came out, you had this level of excitement where it was like it could do no wrong.
Oh, fair.
But when you see them all back to back, you really can feel the differences between them, and I really think that 4 and 5 are. I understand why they're such a big deal and why Star Wars became such a big deal, because at the time there was just a story making that was not really being done at the time.
Right.
And the fundamentals are really strong. And I think that this movie really lacks in those fundamentals. There's not a lot of the monomyth kind of, being brought forth through the structure of the film that makes it like seem really strong. There's all the meandering. There's the weird start and stop stuff. It's like we start in Jabba's palace and then we end up, kind of feeling
it just doesn't feel like there's a flow to it.
Feels like a short film.
It feels like short film.
Yeah.
Short film.
Long, nothing happens.
Long. This is the longest fight scene of all time, filled with ridiculous things.
Hanging out.
It could have been an hour and a half.
Even like some of the change. That's another one too. Is like I don't want to grade the movie based on changes that Lucas made, but those are the only versions that Ariana's gotten to see. So some of those changes are also ridiculous. Another one that drives me crazy is like when Lando is going to fall into the Sarlacc pit, and Solo has recently come out of the carbonite, and he was saying he was blind.
Yeah,
and he goes and he's gonna like, oh, I'll shoot the thing, and he's like, no, or you can't see or whatever. Yeah. You heard him say, oh, no, it's all right, I can see a little better, is what he says. What he said in the original version before they just redubbed it for no reason is he says, no, it's okay, trust me. And that's perfect because that's Han Solo.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Who he is, He's the roguish, like, crazy.
No, we'll be fine.
If they did another, everyone was surprised Chris Pratt didn't play him in the movie because that's kind of, he's turned into that kind of character in most movies. And that's what he would say is like, no, trust me. And then you just kind of get this feeling of like, it's the Force, it's luck. He's just good at this stuff and so he gets it. It's fine. But then like Lucas, it's so strange that he was like, no, that's not the right line. Let's switch it to, no, I can see better now. Like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, come on. Now it's not even a line worth having.
No.
Just don't even have the line.
Right.
When you wrote that, you thought that was clever of like, no, trust me. Like, he's still Han Solo.
Yeah.
And then when you change it, it's like, well, now I feel like we just don't even need the sequence. It's just so weird. So yeah, just stuff like that. And that's the thing with this one.
I agree.
And that's probably like the hardest thing I have to say about this movie is I just feel like a lot of the issues and complaints we start to get in episode 1, 2, and 3, I don't think it started with the prequels. I think it starts here. And then we give it 10, 15 more years. He gets into the prequels and we see kind of the full fruition of, what this has turned into. So All right, so yeah, that was Star Wars. And next up on the docket, I'm thinking about, we're probably going to do Predator.
Hell yeah.
Predator, so I think Predator could be fun.
It's Alien.
And more Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. And this time you actually get to see him do some acting rather than playing a Terminator, so I think it'll be a lot of fun.
This is exciting.
It's a fun movie.
I didn't know it was another Arnold movie. How did I not know that? Like, I've heard of Predator, you know what I mean? And like it's been alluded to so much, but I've never.
Yeah,
I did not know Arnold Schwarzenegger was in that at all.
Yeah, what month is this? March? I guess it's gonna be like March Schwarzenegger month. But
March Schwarzenegger.
Okay, love you guys. I'm gonna catch you later. Bye.
See you guys. Bye boo.